Loving awareness, Radio Caroline. Love and good music, Radio Caroline. Love and good music, Radio Caroline.
Live from the North Sea on 576 kilohertz, this is Radio Caroline International. It's 5 o'clock.
Radio Caroline News, brought to you by Newsweek magazine.
Diving teams have recovered the flight recorder of the Air India jumbo jet, which crashed recently off the coast of Ireland. A remote-controlled submarine had been used in the search, and it's believed the recorder should reveal the last words spoken by the pilot. A 56-year-old Devon man has been jailed for 15 months and fined £100,000 as the mastermind of the international conspiracy to smuggle military components to South Africa. A Coventry businessman has been jailed for 10 months and fined £25,000, and 2 other men have been given 3-month jail sentences. Israeli warplanes have bombed 3 Palestinian guerrilla bases near the Lebanese port of Tripoli. The raids came less than 24 hours after 2 suicide car bombers killed up to 17 people in attacks on checkpoints in the Israeli zone in southern Lebanon. And finally, Rainbow Warrior, the flagship of the environmental group Greenpeace, is reported to have sunk after 2 explosions. 2 people are missing. The explosion happened while the ship was in Auckland, New Zealand, from where the converted trawler was to have led a protest fleet to the French nuclear test site at Mora Atoll. Police say they don't know what caused the blast, and divers are searching the half-submerged hull looking for the 2 missing crew members. One of them is a woman. For Caroline International, I'm John Lewis.
That was Radio Caroline News, brought to you by Newsweek, the international news magazine.
In July, 2 funds have been set up. Now, one is in aid of the family of the crew member who was killed, and the other in aid of the Rainbow Warrior herself. And donations go to the Greenpeace Appeal, 36 Graham Street, London, NI. Proceeds will be split between both funds. That's a real good cause. Loving Awareness and the Rolling Stones will come up right after this.
Experience the magic of Morocco, where East meets West in style. Morocco, with 2,000 miles of untamed beaches. And it's on one of these beaches you'll discover a holiday village called Arabian Sands. At the Arabian Sands Holiday Village, you'll enjoy African sunshine at Costa Brava prices. Appealing to sun seekers of all ages, your village is located next to the famous Caves of Hercules on the northwest tip of Africa, where the Med meets the Atlantic. Young or old, it's a holiday of a lifetime, and it's all yours from just £199 sterling for 2 long, sun-drenched weeks. And you can take 1 child under 12 free. Ask your travel agent for a brochure, or call London 631-5083. London 631-5083.
From an election poll to rock and roll, from East-West relations to projected space stations, from cover to cover, Newsweek magazine is reporting your nation, your world. In words and pictures, Newsweek reports and analyzes. Pick up a copy of Newsweek this and every week. Newsweek, the international news magazine.
Live from the North Sea on 576 kilohertz, this is Radio Caroline International. It's 2:01.
And here's the news headlines. 5 people have been found shot dead in a house in Essex, England. The 5 were found after police broke into the farmhouse on the River Blackwaters near Malden. The police say they are looking for nobody else in connection with the shootings. Also in Britain, there's a virtual news blackout on both radio and television as a result of a 24-hour strike by journalists. The strike is over the banning of a program on Northern Ireland. Israeli authorities have arrested 4 Palestinian students from a university in the occupied West Bank. They were arrested under new measures which allows detention without charge or trial. It's been reported that 5 Americans and 3 Frenchmen held in Beirut are to be freed today. The release is said to have been arranged by Syria to coincide with the opening of an Arab League meeting it's boycotting in Morocco today. There's been more trouble in South Africa. Violence has erupted in Durban. Youths erected burning barricades and set fire to trucks and cars. Some houses were also damaged. And Pope John Paul leaves tomorrow for a tour of Africa. South Africa is said not to be on his agenda. That's it. More news headlines at 3 o'clock.
All right, thank you very much, John. Of course, the only news you'll hear today, Radio Caroline. Here's orchestral maneuvers for 576.
Thanks to John for the last 3 hours, broadcasting live from the North Sea on 576 kilohertz. This is Radio Caroline International. Time now 3 o'clock, time for the news headlines with Johnny Lewis.
5 people have been found shot dead in a house in Essex, England. The 5 were found after police broke into a farmhouse on the River Blackwater near Malden. Police say they're looking for nobody else in connection with the shootings. There's been more trouble in South Africa. Violence has erupted in Durban. Youths erected burning barricades and set fire to trucks and cars. Some houses were also damaged. It's been reported that 5 Americans and 3 Frenchmen held in Beirut are to be freed today. The release is said to have been arranged by Syria to coincide with the opening of an Arab League meeting it's boycotting in Morocco. In America, the Court of Appeal has decided President Reagan must take economic sanctions against Japan. Japan is still said to be not keeping to new whaling rules. It's thought the US will stop Japanese ships fishing in her waters. The Reagan administration has 90 days to appeal against the appeal court's decision. And finally, Austria and Switzerland have both been hit by severe weather. High winds, heavy rain and snow has closed many roads and caused severe flooding. That's it. More news headlines at 4 o'clock.
Radio Caroline.
It's David Andrews with you on Caroline at 28 minutes past 3. A very good afternoon to you.
Turning on the good times, remember to take a generous supply of Hawaiian Tropic. Stay a little longer, a little safer, and a little darker with Hawaiian Tropic.
Rain will be clearing to give some brief clear intervals overnight with a low of 10 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow overcast for the most part, some showers at times with a high of 18. The outlook, however, is unsettled. The sea is moderate to rough. It's a little bit windy out here this afternoon. Here's the Pointer Sisters on Caroline, their latest single called Dare Me.
The vessels are moored in international waters, but it is an offence to supply or support the ships. Spokesmen for both Radio Caroline and Laser 558 have confirmed that both stations are supplied from Spain, which has not legislated against offshore broadcasting. A Department of Trade spokesman said there was a potential threat to life caused by radio interference. For Caroline International, I'm Andy Johnson.
That was Radio Caroline News, brought to you by Newsweek, the international news magazine.
In Magic and the Pointer Sisters, Hey You, from their latest album before that. Broadcasting live from the North Sea on 576 kilohertz. This is Radio Caroline International. Time now 5 o'clock.
Radio Caroline News, brought to you by Newsweek magazine.
Good afternoon. A vital tailpiece from a Japan Airlines Boeing 747 has been found in waters off Tokyo. Officials say it is almost definitely from the aircraft which crashed northwest of Tokyo with 524 people on board. The 24-foot-long piece of wreckage was described as a vertical stabilizer, essential for controlling a plane. The Japanese Air Ministry has revealed that the tail section of the crashed jet was damaged in a bounce landing 6 years ago and repaired. So far, only 4 survivors have been found. They're now in hospital, where their condition has been described as stable. The home of Mrs. Winnie Mandela, wife of jailed black South African activist Nelson Mandela, has been burned down. Mrs. Mandela was not in her house when the fire broke out last night. A police spokesman said that Mrs. Mandela had been staying at an undisclosed address in Johannesburg since last week, when her home was raided by police in search of demonstrators. Israeli authorities have released more than 100 Lebanese prisoners, most of them Shiite Muslims. The captives are among those whose freedom was demanded by the Shiites, who hijacked an American TWA airliner and held its passengers hostage for 17 days. A letter has been sent to 90 workers at the British Intelligence Centre in Cheltenham, warning them of disciplinary action if they refuse to relinquish union membership. Mr. Leslie Christie, of the Society of Civil and Public Servants, has warned that if any workers are sacked for refusing to quit their union, then civil servants will be involved in large-scale industrial action. 43 people have died and 75 others hurt following the collapse of a 2-storey block of flats in central Bombay, India. It's believed that monsoon rains may have undermined the foundations of the building. And finally, the British government has chartered a ship to monitor the activities of the 2 offshore radio stations moored in the Thames estuary. The vessel has been patrolling the area where both Radio Caroline and Laser 558 are anchored, listening to transmissions from the ships and watching for supply boats. Broadcasts from these stations are not illegal, as the vessels are moored in international waters, but it is an offence to supply or support the ships. Spokesmen for both Radio Caroline and Laser 558 have confirmed that both stations are supplied from Spain, which has not legislated against offshore broadcasting. A Department of Trade spokesman in London said there was a potential threat to life caused by radio interference, a charge levelled against all offshore radio stations since 1958, although no cases have ever been proved. For Caroline International, I'm Andy Johnson.
That was Radio Caroline News, brought to you by Newsweek, the international news magazine.
Now released as a single, available in the record shops, it's the Commodores, of course, and Janet. On Caroline 576, may I remind you that August Bank Holiday comes round this year on August the 26th. And on that day, there's a beer festival and a rock gig at the Star Public House in Steeple, near Southminster in Essex. Starting at midday and going on until at least midnight, there's a licence for beer from noon until 4 p.m. and from 6 p.m. until midnight. It'll cost you a £5 to get in on the gate, and there's camping facilities as well if you require. Do turn up on August the 26th, a beer festival and rock gig at the Star Public House in Steeple, near Southminster in Essex. Acts appearing will be the Caroline Roadshow, Ugly, Soho, Runestaff, Dumpy's Rusty Nuts, the Buster James Band, and the Lacey Street Blues Band. A splendid day's entertainment on Bank Holiday 1985. Here's the Cars. Good morning to you. Here's the Marine up above circling us, and John has gone to see what's going on. But I am in a position to tell you that broadcasting 24 hours a day on 576 kilohertz, live from the North Sea, this is Radio Caroline International. And it's 1 minute to 4.
She is so fine, I'll make her mine. Her name is Caroline.
Well, that's been our signature tune for the past 21 years. It's going to be our signature tune for the next 21. The Four Tunes and a song there called Caroline. Time now, it's 20 minutes after 4. Have the holiday of your life. Join the Windjammer Radio Caroline cruise on a magnificent tall ship sailing through the Caribbean islands. You'll fly from London by BWI Airlines on October the 6th to Grenada, where you'll join your luxury sailing schooner for 2 weeks of tropical sun and sea. You'll visit some of the most picturesque islands on Earth, like Montserrat, Martinique and Barbados. Go fishing, skin diving and swimming and actually sail the ship on a cruise you'll remember forever. Or just relax, enjoying parties in the moonlight with people with young ideas and a flair for adventure. This special Windjammer Radio Caroline cruise ends in Antigua for the flight back to London on October the 19th. Contact Windjammer Cruises, P.O. Box 120, Miami Beach, Florida, 33139 for the holiday of a lifetime.
Radio Caroline. Caroline, the sound of the nation. Caroline, the sound of the land. Caroline, the sound of the nation. Caroline.
Broadcasting live from the North Sea on 576 kilohertz. This is Caroline International. It's 11 o'clock in time now on this Tuesday morning for our Tuesday edition of the Coffee Break. And here's five songs from the 60s, beginning with The Shadows.
That's the way the whole thing started. Silly, but it's true. Thinking of a sweet romance beginning in a view. Came the sun, the ice was melting. No more sheltering now. Nice to think that that umbrella led me to a vow. Every morning I would see her waiting at the stop. Sometimes she'd shop and she would show me what she bought. All the people stared as if we were both quite insane. Someday my name and hers are going to be the same. Bus stop, wet day, she's there, I say, please share my umbrella. I just don't know what to do with myself.
Joanna, I can't forget the one they call Joanna. You don't know what's going on. You've been away for too long.
There we go, some more memories from the 60s on the Coffee Break this morning. In fact, all of this week on the Coffee Break we will be featuring 5 records from the 60s. Next week we'll be doing something a little bit different. I'll tell you about that on Friday morning. That was Chris Barlow and a song called Out of Time. Before that one, Scott Walker and his song Joanna. Dusty Springfield, I just don't know what to do with myself. The Hollies and Bus Stop. And firstly we heard Apache by the Shadows. Radio Caroline 576 if you've got any suggestions for our Coffee Break. Radio Caroline's address coming up after this song. Beautiful record from the Cars, and this is called Drive.
12 minutes past 1, lunchtime personal top 5 today from Wyn Griffiths. He lives in Bramley in Leeds in West Yorkshire. Number 5 we had Joe Jackson, Different for Girls. Number 4, Cream, Sunshine of Your Love. And number 3 we heard Matthew Southern Comforter and Woodstock. That's number 2 from the Kinks. On 576 kilohertz, this is Caroline International. Time now is just after 1 o'clock. It's personal top 5 time. Today the top 5 coming from Steve Mason. He lives in Weavering Street, Maidstone, Kent in England. It says to the crew on board, I enclose my top 5 dedicated in memory of the great late John Lennon. Please play this top 5 on either October the 9th, Lennon's birthday, or December the 8th, which is the tragic anniversary. It says keep up the good work, and it also says dedicate the top 5 to Barry, Tom, Ronan, Ray, Paul, John, Martha, and all who know me. Okay, 5 songs coming up from John Lennon in memory of his birthday. Here is number 5, Watching the Wheels.
Right now is a good time to try out loving awareness on someone.
Our life together is so precious. Together we have grown. Falling in love again, it'll be just like starting over.
It's one Wednesday afternoon from Caroline, and the top 5 coming today from Steve Mason. He's asked us to play 5 songs from the late John Lennon. We've had up to now Watching the Wheels, number 9, Dream, Starting Over, and we have the Give Peace a Chance. Here's the final one from the late John Lennon, Imagine. That's Imagine. And the top 5 coming today from Steve Mason, who sent us, asked us to play 5 songs from John Lennon. Also saying, dedicate the top 5 in memory of the late great John Lennon. In fact, 1980 wasn't the best of years, really, with Caroline losing the Mi Amigo in March, and then the tragic death of John Lennon. So thanks for them comments there, Steve. He lives in Wavering Street, Maidstone, Kent in England. Also saying hi to Barry, Tom, Ronan, Ray, Paul, John, Martina, I think that is, and all who know me as well. So cheers again, Steve, for the top 5, and we'll have another top 5 for you 1 o'clock tomorrow. Caroline, it's 21 minutes past 1. Music coming up next from Jimmy Cliff.
It's getting closer and more spectacular every day. In a setting of mountains and forest, islands and ocean, a thriving metropolitan city on Canada's Pacific coast is preparing for one of this century's great world expositions, Expo 86 in Vancouver, Canada. From May 2nd to October 13th, 1986, Expo 86, the celebration of the century, begins. From the 4 corners of the earth, the nations of the world are coming. The People's Republic of China, USSR, USA, over 40 nations in all, celebrating mankind's achievement in transportation and communication. In any year, there is but one vacation that captures the imagination of the world. In 1986, it is Expo 86. Don't miss it for the world. Inquire at Tourism British Columbia House, Regent Street, London, or contact your travel agent.
Radio Caroline t-shirts and sweatshirts are now available. Superior Leisure Wear offer you top quality t-shirts and sweatshirts in small, medium, large, and extra large. Caroline t-shirts are just £4. Caroline sweatshirts only $9.50. Work easy and play hard in a Caroline t-shirt or sweatshirt. Send your check or personal order today to Superior Leisure Wear, Box 188, London, Southwest 15. That's Superior Leisure Wear, Box 188, London, Southwest 15.